Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Cully and Conlon. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. They are one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz is a proud supporter of our podcast network. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large and small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule a free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, if you had a slip and fall, if you had a car accident, if your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, if your wife decided to stab you, the Finch firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all over the state of Connecticut. He will go to war for you to make sure you get every dollar you deserve in compensation. So you have to remember always, if you're in a pinch, call Finch. You can go to his website. It's thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, of all sports. He just started a boot camp program, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. Andre will get you in shape. He has an athletic development program where he works with boys and girls in the sport of their choice and develops them from the ground up to reach their full potential. And Andre has sent boys and girls of all sports to college on scholarship. So if you're in Hartford, Connecticut, Andre has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. You want to work with the best, go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. Down south, we have Julius Williams in the Trench Mob. He trains offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5-versus-5 tournaments all across the country. His team was undefeated this past year in competition. They recently went to college showcase camps and are proud to announce that every camp they attended, a member of the Trench Mob was awarded a scholarship offer from a college. That's how good they are. Julius and his team are the best of the best in Decatur, Georgia, training offensive and defensive linemen. They have sent kids to Florida, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. To sign up, go to www.battleofthetrenches.com. And finally, our newest sponsor, Luther James Insurance, owned and operated by James Whitfield out of Bergen County, New Jersey. He has dedicated himself for the last 3 years to the art of financial planning. He also works in insurance services, basically specializing in life insurance and retirement planning. He knows the stresses that go into people planning their retirement, and he is there to help them along the way because fear of the unknown is real. To go to James, the website is lutherjamesinsurance.com, and he will talk with you and give you a free quote. And now for the lady of the hour, UConn legendary women's basketball player and now Western Connecticut State women's basketball head coach, Maria Conlon with her nice
up?
teeth that are cleaned. So great
Yeah,
to see.
I love a good teeth cleaning. I would go every week if I could. There's nothing
Every
better.
week.
Yeah. How you doing? You're we had such a crazy, what was it? We officially had 3 people from our generation die in the last week and a half. We got Theo
Yeah, I
Huxtable,
know.
Ozzy Osbourne, and
Ozzy
now your
Osbourne.
guy
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy. We're getting old. We're officially getting old.
Yeah.
We can say
Well, I
that
think the
now.
people we watched when we were younger are getting old. I'd like to say we're still putting along a little bit.
Yes, yes, yes.
You
I
know.
mean, the Hulkster, they really tried to keep what was going on a secret. They were posting pictures on his Facebook and Instagram, but people saw that they were older pictures and they knew that something was up. I didn't know it was as bad as it was, but
Yeah.
it had been going on for a while. So it's just it's sad to see, very sad to see.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to ask you just because there's been a lot of questions that have been asked, and I don't believe people really understand the history of the WNBA and how it's grown over the last 20 plus years. So a lot of people wanted your thoughts on the t-shirts that they wore during warm-ups of the All-Star game. Pay us what you owe us. And what's really behind that. And the commissioner Kathy Engelberg, I believe, is the one. They had a meeting beforehand, and I believe the WNBA had 40 players represented, which was huge. And it really didn't go anywhere. So I just, like I said, I don't think people understand the history of the league and why we are where we're at and what the players are really asking for. Because when I found out the real numbers of what they get, I was shocked myself. So like it in the NBA, they actually get 51% of the revenue compared to 49% for the league. The NFL is 50-50. The WNBA, from what I was looking at,
It's at 9, I
they
think, right?
yeah, I had no idea it was that low. And now, they have the new TV deal. I don't know exactly what their expectations are, but it's clear that they're miles behind the other leagues. And I think with the attendance, the ratings, the merchandise, they're up there. And that's why I was curious to know, like, the history, like when the league started, how much were they getting paid, and the growth of that over the years to where they are now. I mean, has it been a massive growth? Has it been kind of consistent?
Yeah,
Because
I
you
mean, I think it's
even they started with too many teams.
I thought they did. I thought they started with too many teams. And the popularity wasn't there yet, you know?
Right.
So I just thought it was a lot. I thought some of the cities that they chose just weren't in the correct wheelhouse. You know, I don't know what the initial salary started, 20 something years ago now, and when the WNBA was formed. It
Yeah.
definitely has gone up.
Yes.
Um, I think, the shirts, like, there's a lot of people that didn't love the shirts and then wearing them out. You know, I,
I think it
me,
shows solidarity. I mean,
I mean,
I think
it
they're
is what it is,
frustrated.
right? Like, is a t-shirt going to get you a pay raise? I don't think so.
Right.
I
That's
guess if,
true.
if that's like, their way of beginning to make this stand that they are committed to making if there isn't a major change in terms of the revenue share.
Right.
I guess for me, like what I would like to like a graph or a statistic that I would like to see in order to really form a legit opinion on it is, when the NBA or the NFL or whatever was formed, and I know it took like 25, 26 years for the NBA to turn a profit, right?
That's very
So you're
legit. Yes.
Yeah, so you're
Yeah.
teetering right around that for the WNBA. So I don't think there's an issue with the fact that, they haven't been in positive revenue in a while, because most leagues that are formed, it does take a little bit to gain some
Very
steam, which
true.
we're at now. But I wonder what that percentage of revenue was for those players back in the day. I mean, we all have to remember NBA
Yeah.
players are making a lot more now than NBA players were, 30 years ago, right? So I do think it is all relative until I can see a graph of what that percentage share of revenue was for the players in the NBA back then and how it
Yeah.
gradually went up to 49 to now 51. I can't really give an opinion one way or the other. I do think their revenue share should be higher than 9. Right
That's what
now,
I can believe is 9.
it definitely can't be 51, because I think that would bankrupt the league and then you won't have a league. Because I don't think that they're to the point yet where they can give up 51 of the share and still operate in the green.
No.
Is that share maybe double? Is it 18? Probably, at least, right? But I don't think it's 31 yet.
Right.
And I think you have some franchises that are more profitable than others still, right?
They
So,
are.
so I think really what the shirts probably should have said was, pay us closer to what you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know. And I don't think they're not saying, okay, we want contracts like the NBA and the NFL have. I think they're being realistic where they say, okay, we know we can't be paid millions of dollars a year.
Right. Right. No, of course not.
But we should definitely be getting more than 9% of the revenue you guys are bringing in. So what that number is right now, I don't really know. Obviously, I'm not in those meetings. I can't see those graphs and charts. But I would be interested for somebody to come out with something that compared, like, year 1 of the NBA, what was the revenue share with the players? Year 25, what was the revenue percentage shared to the players versus now? Like, if there was a chart that kind of showed that, I'd love to see that. I have not seen that yet. So it's really hard to compare what that should be and what that should look like. And then, the breakdown of dollars. The NBA brings in a lot more money than the WNBA does, right? But they're not talking about that. A percentage share is still a percentage share, right? So, like, let's take $1 million. Let's just say that obviously it's worth way more than that, but just for easy numbers' sake, if $1 million is the profit, okay, then 510,000 should be split amongst the players. Is that what we're saying? Right? So that number is still dramatically lower than what we're seeing in the NBA. But I do think that the percentage of revenue share should definitely be higher than 9%. Absolutely. And I think that's what they're saying.
9%.
Whether they're doing a good job of, like, communicating that to the public. I know they're communicating that behind closed doors. I think what people get stuck on when you wear shirts like that is, like, pay us what you owe us. Okay, well, what is that? Clarify that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little ambiguous. Like, pay us what I think you owe us, or pay us a fair share of what you guys are bringing in, and what does
what
that
we've earned.
Yeah. So, we'll see in the coming months, because the lockout, I think then they have to come to a decision by September.
Yeah, and you had said that because they're really on a momentum swing right now. The league's hotter than it's ever been.
And I think the league will come back with some form of a plan, and then it'll leave it in the players' hands to decide whether or not this is an amicable decision, on both sides. I don't think the WNBA wants a lockout. I don't think the players want a lockout, because, again, when you talk about momentum, nothing kills momentum like a lockout. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So hopefully they'll be able to come to some sort of an agreement that works for both sides. And hopefully they can do that by that deadline.
Were you surprised at people had asked? I didn't watch it, so I didn't see it. The fan support for the players, they said they were chanting the same thing, pay them what they owe us. That
No,
the
I mean,
fans
listen,
were.
first of all, the All-Star game was in Caitlin Clark territory, right? It was in Indy.
Yes, it was.
So those fans are going to chant whatever they want them to chant at that moment. I wasn't surprised by that. I will say this. I was really, really disappointed in the All-Star game. I thought it was atrocious.
It was.
There was no defense. There was it.
It was like
It was
the
like,
NBA.
yeah, it was just not good. The 4-point shot, whatever, and Caitlin Clark didn't even play. So like, the 4-point shot is, I guess, cool for an all-star game, but it just felt like that's all everybody was trying to do.
Right.
So I didn't love the format. I didn't love, like, I couldn't even watch it. It was just bad basketball, so I didn't think that played in their favor with a lot of different things, because I heard the ratings were really bad for TV.
It was lower than last year, and last year it had set the record for
Yeah.
the All-Star game. It was way down.
Yeah. I also think, like, and this is just me, like, doing it on a Saturday night, I don't know. I think the NBA does it well, where they do all the hoorah on Friday and Saturday, and then they play,
Right.
somewhat in the mid-afternoon on a Sunday when people really don't have anything else going on or watching. Like, if you're out to eat or you're out at the bar, I don't necessarily know that the WNBA All-Star game's on a Saturday night, but
It might not be.
yeah. And like I said, even if it was, it's like, I don't know. It wasn't fun to watch. So I didn't think,
No.
I didn't think it was a great outing or showing for the WNBA in regards to that.
The other big news was surrounding Caitlin Clark. There's really no timetable for her return. She's been injured the majority of at least the first half of the season. She's done a lot for her recovery and rehab. And I mean, there hasn't been anything additional, like as far as injuries or damage, that were discovered from the imaging and the tests that were done. She injured her groin when she came back against the Connecticut Sun, and she ended up, like you said, not playing an All-Star weekend. She has now missed 11 regular season games, and they said the Commissioner Cup's final, I didn't even know what the Commissioner's Cup is, but I mean, it's 3 stretches now that she has been out with quad and groin injuries. Do you think that could have something to do with, now, because we had said she took the time off last year, she came back better. Do you think maybe she had too much time off and didn't train as hard and her body wasn't ready when she came back? Or is it just bad luck?
I think the unfortunate part, right, is that the groin and the quad are like, they're nagging injuries, and they're really easy to re-aggravate. And the hard part is, like, the timetable is just rest. So if you come back, if you come back a little earlier than you should, you risk pulling it again. I just think that the injuries that she's had are just injuries, like, it almost would be better if, like, she twisted an ankle, sat out for a couple weeks and let it heal, right? Because that happens. But groin in specific is really hard to rehab. It's really hard to get it all the way back to 100% while you're still kind of trying to stay in game shape. So, and it's really easy to aggravate. I just think that the type of injuries she had are just ones that, you just need a ton of rest and recovery, which, when you're in the middle of the season and it's a condensed season, it's not like you can say, okay, she's going to sit out for 6 weeks and then you still got 4 months left to the season like you would in the NBA.
Correct.
Because it's just a shorter season. If I'm the Fever, I mean, they're right as of right now, they're locked into a playoff spot. I think they have enough
They
players
have a
on
winning record. Yeah.
Yeah, to get over the
battling.
hump and make the playoffs. So like if I'm them, I'm almost like, hey, just chill for another month and then come in for that backstretch and make sure that you're really ready to go. I think is probably the route to go at this point. Because I think just having her come back, play a game here or there, even limited minutes, it doesn't matter if you play 35 minutes or you play 10. All it takes is for you to plant weird and re-aggravate it. And then now you're back to square one. So I think if they're smart, they'll just really let her take her time and then hope to make like a end of season playoff push with her healthy.
We had several viewers ask questions about the Golden State team. Basically, how for an expansion team, you don't see them in the mix, have the kind of success that they're having. They would be more along the lines of the Connecticut Sun, who are in last place, or Dallas, but they're fighting. They're in the mix for everything. They're 10-12. What do you think has been the key to Golden State basically exceeding expectations that people normally have for an expansion team?
Well, I think number one, they hired the perfect coach. I think she's phenomenal. I think in years to come, we'll see Golden State at the top of the league. That's just the way I feel. I feel very strongly about her as a coach and the way she runs stuff and the way she builds teams. So I think that's number one. Number two, I thought, with expansion teams, it really depends on which players you get in the expansion draft, right? So and out there in free agency. And I thought they did a really good job of a good mix of different veterans that, it's not like it's an expansion team with all rookies. So,
Right.
I think they have some veterans there that have really bought in and it's worked well for them. They slid out of eighth place, this past week, but I wasn't shocked by that one at all. I thought, like I said, I thought that was a perfect hire. I think she's done a really good job. She's going to continue to do a really good job. And I think she's got some veterans that have bought in. She's got some rookies that are playing well. So, I think you'll continue to see them thrive a little bit. Are they going to finish fifth this year? No chance. But, I think they'll make a push for that last playoff spot for sure.
So you could absolutely see them getting into the playoffs, getting that last spot.
I mean, you got Las Vegas, Washington, Golden State, and I'm trying to think of who that other spot is right now that are all really like teetering right around.
Logjammed in there. Yeah.
Yeah, even Indiana.
Yeah,
I mean, Indiana's only got one more win than Las Vegas,
Yep.
two more than Washington. So, again, I think Indiana has the pieces to hold strong until Caitlin can come back. That's just my feeling. But that 7-8 spot is really up for grabs. I mean, I think, Golden State, Washington, and Las Vegas, it'll be interesting to see where those three teams fall at that bottom portion of the playoffs picture.
So it works. They don't do it by conference, correct? They do it by the top 8 teams. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, top 8 teams, and then one plays 8, 2 plays 7, etc. Yep.
People had asked about Chicago. Obviously, Angel Reese, the star. she broke Brittany Griner's record. It was last year for the most double doubles, or it was Candace Parker. It was one of them. And they're just really, they've been down and out this year. I recall them being much more competitive last year. What do you think happened with them, and why they've kind of dropped off the map to where they're not close to being in playoff contention?
Well, they lost a lot of key pieces. Marina Mabry, left there. Gosh, I'm losing her name, but they're like leading scorer in the guard position. The one that got into it with Caitlin Clark, she's a little bit of
right.
She's a little bit of a head case, but the kid can play. So, they don't have strong guard play there, and I think we've kind of seen that. That's been the storyline there. I don't know that, like, when I watch Chicago, which is not very often because I find them painful to watch.
They are.
They look like a team that's not bought into the coaching staff and the philosophy that they're trying to put out there. They lack maturity in some places that they really, really need it, and they don't have an identity. I think we lost Steve there for a second, but yeah, they lack a lot of the things that you need to be successful, and we're just seeing that. I mean, I'm not surprised at all by that. You need good guard play, as well as Angel has played in pockets and Camilla has played in pockets, and some of the other people. Like, you need some studs on the perimeter, and I just feel like they lack that, and they lack an identity as a team.
Absolutely. And I from what I've seen, that it's kind of held them back for sure. And it's just funny to anytime you watch them, like you said, it is like watching paint dry. It's not a fun experience watching them.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
No, not
and
aesthetically.
And you can see it in like, even if the games that they've won and even the games that they've lost, it's like they do not score a lot of points.
No.
So, I mean, in the WNBA, in the fast-paced environment that it is now, getting up and down the floor, like, you got to be able to score points. And they struggle. They struggle to score at times.
What were your thoughts on it was what's her face? Oh, the Brittany Griner being honored in Phoenix when she returned with Atlanta, and obviously she has been through a lot, and I thought it was great that they went and honored her. People asked about her story and what you thought about Phoenix, the away team, the team she doesn't play for anymore, taking the time to honor her while she's still on another franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Brittany got drafted by Phoenix. She spent obviously the bulk of her career out there. I think it's always great when franchises can honor former players, even if they're still not a part of the organization, because she was such a big part of it for a long period of time. So, I always love when, people can kind of be above it all and still recognize what she did for, the city and the organization as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they had a squad for a while with her teammates when Diana was there. Was Candace Parker? She was in LA, correct? She wasn't.
She was LA, and then she was Chicago.
LA and Chicago. Okay.
Yep.
So I mean, Brittany Griner's been in the league 11 plus years, and for a big, is that normal to play that long, or do they typically have shorter careers?
We haven't seen on the women's side that the age factor and the getting olding factor has been as um big as we see on the men's side. They're not playing completely above the rim all night. I don't think there's as much wear and tear on their bodies as you see in some other sports as players age. Um, and she's had her share of injuries over the years too, where she's missed time. But she's still good. She's not in her prime. I mean, she's still what,
Right.
6'9" or 6'7", whatever the heck she is. There's not many players in the league that are that big, and so as long as she can get out there and be healthy, I don't see her retiring for a few more years.
All right, I'll give you two questions. We had a question from Mary, who is from Michigan, East Lansing. She said that her daughter is a talented player and she has not been recruited as much. And, she's going into her junior year. She's gone to one or two showcases, but in the area that there haven't been as many coaches there. She wanted to know what you would recommend as the best tool to help her get recruited. Is it, emailing coaches? Is it putting her film up on YouTube? Trying to bring attention to her to at least get her evaluated.
Yeah, I think, all of the above, right? So I think if she's playing in showcases in Michigan only, maybe get out of state, test the
Right.
waters in different showcases in other areas. Again, I'm always big on take a really good glance at where you think she falls, whether that's D1, D2, D3, whatever, and start to really maybe target schools specifically. There's elite camps that all the different schools offer where she can go and, spend a couple of days or a week at an elite camp at a specific university to get noticed by, that coaching staff. Definitely film, definitely, again, be targeted. You don't want to send it to 600 coaches. You want to send it to 60 of,
Right.
targeted schools that you feel like would be a good fit for her and that she would be a good fit for them. Definitely gives you a little bit more of a leg up, but she's still got time if she's only going into her junior year. Junior year is the big recruiting year. So,
Right.
there's still time to make some adjustments into what they're doing from an exposure standpoint. So I would just, use all the resources that you have, get into different showcases and, just be very intentional with the schools that you're reaching out to.
And her other main concern had to do with the AAU program. She doesn't feel that she's getting the most out of it as far as, playing in the tournaments they need to play in, going to the camps they need to go to. And they were thinking about switching AAU teams. She wanted to know, what are the top things that you would recommend checking off before you decide on picking an AAU team?
Yeah, I mean, I think, whoever's going to be, first of all, coaching that specific AAU team, and you want to make sure that you're with a program that is involved in the recruiting process, that will reach out to schools on your child's behalf. Because there are programs that say they do that and they really don't, and then there's programs that do it. So I think, if you look at some of the programs in your area and you see, what kind of content, et cetera, that they're putting out there for their athletes, maybe gravitate towards something like that. Definitely look at the tournaments that AAU program is playing in, and if it makes sense for your child to go to some of those tournaments, then it might be something to look at. And then, you want to make sure you're with a coach that you care and is going to continue to develop you over the summer as well. So, I think checking those boxes is really big. I think the questions that you should ask are, what do you do to get your players exposure? What are your connections at the college level in order to have conversations for my kid on their behalf? And then, kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think she may be panicking a little too early before.
No, I get it
I-
though. I mean, listen,
yeah,
the recruiting situation right now is crazy out there, right?
it is.
There's
It is.
limited spots at universities due to the transfer portal and some of the other things that have gone on. So I get it. I think there's a lot of parents that are in the same exact boat. So, don't feel bad about that. All you can do is make sure that you give your child every opportunity that you can, both with your time and your money, right? And that you're getting the most out of it. And then, just trust the process and just let it happen.
You really do have to trust the process. Any plans this weekend? You guys doing anything? You're not building anything, I hope.
No. I think we're just chilling this weekend. We have a birthday party we got to go to, and that's about it. It's supposed to be nice here tomorrow and crummy on Sunday, so hopefully we'll get out a little bit tomorrow and Netflix and chill on Sunday.
Yes, some good Netflix show coming out. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just have to mention Fresh, Ned Von Young. We talked with him yesterday on the show. He has Fresh Fold Laundry Company, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He has a pickup service now, which I'm blown away. They have a 20-mile radius. Fresh, you're crazy. So you book online, you put your clothes out, and they will come pick them up for you, bring them back, wash, dry, fold them, lightning speed record, and then you come and get them when they're done. You never have to enter the actual laundromat. It's all done for you and packaged up neat and nice. He has an online subscription service, and he has deals for college students. College students who will be going back in a month or so. Do your laundry. Go to Fresh Fold. His website is freshfold-laundry.com. You can see all the services that he has to offer. So for UConn legend Maria Conlin and Western Connecticut State head coach, I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.